A very good morning and welcome, dear viewers, to Tecdon Penang's forum, Path to Success the STEM Way. I'm Tim from Tecdon Penang, Penang's very own Science Discovery Center. It is natural for parents to worry about their children's future and want the very best for them. So you might be asking yourselves these questions. What course should my children study? What profession is stable and secure? And maybe the most important question, which job pays the best? Well, here in Path to Success the STEM Way is a series of videos and talks organized by Tecdon Penang in collaboration with Penang STEM to explore and discuss the notion that STEM is still a very viable and rewarding career path for job seekers in the present and in the future. If you have been following our Facebook page, we have featured sharing by students as well as gave you viewers an inside look into an engineer's life. This morning, we'll be joined live by a member of STEM professional bodies as well as leaders from the corporate world. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming IRTS Dr. Jason Teh Jiashen, moderator of our first session, Moving Forward Towards IR 4.0. Welcome, Dr. Jason, and thank you for being with us here today.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Thank you for the introductions. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in and spending your weekend with us. So as Tim introduced, I'm Dr. Tse from USM. I'm a senior lecturer in electrical electronics engineering, USM, and I'm also strongly interested, right, in the science, technology, engineering, mathematics education. So first of all, I want to thank Tecdon Penang for this opportunity for us to discuss what is STEM, what is IR 4.0. And today we have managed to invite various expert members, right, from four well-known nationally and global institutions, organizations to discuss and dwell deeply into this topic. So right from the start, I want to introduce the panelists now in no particular order of importance. I want to first introduce IR Bernard Lim. IR Bernard Lim, he is the chairman of the Penang branch of the Institutions of Engineers Malaysia. The second one is IR Dr. Lee Chu Yong. He is the chairman of Penang Joint Chapter of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, IEEE. IEEE is based in the US. The third one is T.S. Poo Teng Soo. He is the chairman of the Penang branch of the Technological Association Malaysia, TAM. And the last but not least is Mr. Tan Soon Keong. He is the Northern Region representative of the Institutions of Engineering and Technology, IET. So the IET is based in the UK, and Mr. Tan is also one of the E&E industry leaders in Penang. Okay, everyone is on the screen. All right. So right from the get-go, I just want to throw out. I think we need to first let the audience know, right? What is your opinion about STEM and IR 4.0? I mean, what do they mean in practical terms for job seekers, for students, for future leaders? Perhaps we can start with Bernard Lim.
Hey, hi, thank you, Dr. Tay. Thank you very much, everyone. Good morning to all of you as well. And thank you for Penang Tecdon for inviting me, as it's an honor actually to talk on this particular topic. Now, the topic that we have is moving forward towards in IR 4.0. IR 4.0, you'll be wondering what that word or abbreviation actually means. Actually, it's Industrial Revolution 4.0. I mean, it's a big buzzword right now, and as everybody has probably heard from papers, social media, and so forth. And it's basically a transformative technology that is basically not only going to change the industry, but it's going to change your everyday of life as well. And a different buzzword that you all start to continue to start listening and or hearing. Let's say looking at newspaper, you're going to hear words like intelligent robot. You're going to hear things like internet machines. You're going to talk about smart machine. One more thing in the factory that we're going to hear is also smart factory as well. And different things that you're going to hear, different texts and terms that you're going to hear. And one of the terms that is going to be widely known and it's already hit the movies itself is artificial intelligence. And one of the widely things that you're going to learn about moving forward will be on, let's say, autonomous driving. So let's say focus on Industry 4.0, the topic that we're going to cover today. It's actually a new phase in the Industrial Revolution. We have gone through many phases, since the 19th century, 1.0. Now we are in 4.0 right now. And 4.0 basically are focusing on interconnectivity. All of you are probably at least has a handphone, or you have wireless, right? If without Wi-Fi, you kind of feel crippled by your day-to-day life. So you can see that basically with the wireless itself, you already know that it's going to impact your life if you don't have, let's say, wireless in at home, or even 4G. So IR 4.0 involve interconnectivity, involve automations, machine learning, and also real-time data. So some of these buzzwords you may be puzzled by what the word is, but let me clarify later what some of these terms means. And I think if I were to kind of use one single word to represent IR 4.0 to a layman's, I would probably call it as digitalization. So this is a single word if I want to represent it. I don't intend to go into elaborating more details about it, but use the word digitalization. And this is
Okay.
one thing that has happened in the world today. And all this involve, exponentially as a result of our multifaceted, deeply interconnected world, the world we live today. We can easily, with COVID-19, we could easily connect to anybody part of the world. Let's say, for example, I'm sure that all of us are not in the same room. I'm actually located in the island. Our Dr. Lee is actually located in Bukit Mertajam. Dr. Tay, you'll probably be located somewhere else. We are all over. Mr. Tan is also probably somewhere else in Bukit Mertajam as well, right? And also Alex.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's how all of us are connected together in a single platform. We'll never have thought of it many years back, right? So this is some of the things that is going to change our world today.
Okay.
Industrial 4.0 started in industry, but eventually it migrated and it goes into all our daily life. All right, so this
Oh,
is
oh,
basically what's our topic for today, Dr. Tay.
okay. Thank you, Bernard, for that lengthy introduction and very detailed one. Digitalization is something that I think we want to delve into later on. So
Sure.
how about Mr. Tan? What is your opinion on the practical sense of STEM and IR 5.0 from your perspective?
Okay. First of all, good morning to everyone. Thank you for having me. Um, okay. Well, today we are living in the modern world where science and technology actually pervades every part of our life, and this depends so much on our life, as what Bernard mentioned. Every day on technology, the way how we live, the way how they work, how do we connect, how do we interact and learn, and sometimes play also, right? All right. Therefore, science stream is very important to prepare students for their future, for sure. In this, I feel that science stream is a foundation for study for STEM. Okay. Now, based on a job report from U.S. Bureau of Statistics, whether you believe or not, but I believe that 80% of future job in the next 20 years will require skill in STEM field, whether in science, in the technology, in engineering, in mathematics. And this forecast is not something unexpected in my view, as we are currently living in the era of, I will say, the beginning of
Mm.
the Industrial Revolution 4.0 and very important digital transformation, where technology is going to change the way how we live, work, connect, interact, and also learn every day. All right. So today, as you can see that technology, computer have been integrated across a variety of workplace, okay, from different industry. So therefore, if you having anyone having a background in STEM literacy lah, whether you are in science, technology, IT, computer, software, data, crowding, I will think it will be added advantage. And to some extent, I think it's a necessity for job. Okay. Beside, as you know that the technology is changing, there will be new job. The new job that I think all of us never heard for, the data scientist, big data analytic, AI, machine learning, this kind of job will going to evolve, or let's say there will be some this kind of is going to come, and which this job will definitely need STEM related skill, because of the outcome of technology changes and in the future. And also, I think STEM education or science education also will provide the student with the vital skill like problem solving and critical uh, thinking, which is to me a very essential for competitive in the 21st century global economy, because employers are looking for candidates who know how to think creatively a new way, and will be able to solve problems that they face no matter what field they are in. So in other words, science stream and STEM education, a person is not actually limited to the science, technology, or engineering or mathematics career alone, but it will take them in the different number of direction in the future, where I feel that STEM skill or science skill will help the student develop a valuable skill or asset that they need for their future.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Tan. I
Thank
think,
you.
yeah, I think that's also very, new perspective, right, from your working experience in the E&E industry in Penang.
Mm.
Okay, on to Dr. Lee, right? Dr. Lee.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning, Dr. Lee. Right. We have heard Bernard and SK talk about what STEM means. Bernard talk about digitalization. SK talk about job prospect of having STEM knowledge. What do you think that STEM means for us, for students, for them in the future?
Yeah. Good morning. Okay. Let me just extend what Bernard and SK have derived just now. So, talking about digitalization, what I would like to comment is digitalization offers seamless connectivity, yeah, in our world. When we talk about Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, autonomous driving, and so on, we are actually talking about connectivity within the devices. Yeah, so how we can come along with this all this technology to be useful in our life, it actually helps us. Yeah, like for example, what Bernard mentioned just now, we are well connected with the virtual platform and remote communication. We can actually communicate around the world. Yeah, just to have a discussion and to solve the problem, and then also to complement what SK has mentioned just now, talking about problem solving. So what I would like to elaborate is with the STEM, it will enable a person to solve a complex problem. Yeah, I think not just around just about the problem. From my point of view, STEM is the backbone for the Industrial 4.0. When we talk about Industrial 4.0, we talk about engineering and technology, and but behind that, those are physics, mathematics, chemistry, biology. I think you all can agree with me. Without the strong foundation in physics, additional mathematics, or mathematics tambahan, I don't think the person will be able to go further and to understand the complexity of the STEM at the university level. So from my point of view, STEM is very important. Particularly, we need to nurture the student from the young age. Yeah, it could be motivated, by having the real hands-on experience and so on. So this is my point of view. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Dr. Lee, thank you very much. How about Mr. Poo? I think you have a lot to share, yeah? What do you think about STEM then?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jensen. So I believe that just now Bernard, then Lee, and also Tan, SK Tan also already shared with everyone what is about STEM lah. Basically, STEM over here is the base or the foundation of everything that we are going to see in what we have in current technology right now. So for what we see right now, example, let's say we are looking at Internet of Things. So we have a lot of application and product that are available in the market right now. But some of this application is already matured. If we use it today, but then 10 years back, we just get to know, but we never use it. But we need about 10 years times to develop until what we have today. The maturities of this product will take a long time. Why it takes so long time? Because there are a lot of new things in the industry that needs special kind of specialties, right? So those specialties is not a conventional field that we can start. We can do it in the conventional degree program. Example, let's say motion control. These are big data analysis and some kind of these are algorithm in programming. This might be a small part in computer science, might be a small part in mathematical statistics, might be a small part in electronics. But then if let's say we blow up the things that what we have today over here, we need a lot of those small tiny specialties, right? Specialists to solve the job, right? To solve this kind of job. So in order to do that now, those who in secondary school, we need a lot of those in STEM background, especially as what Dr. Lee said. We need mathematics. We need additional mathematics. We need physics. We need biology in certain field, chemistry in certain field. So when you have this kind of interest in this STEM, eventually you're going to build up certain kind of skill set, certain kind of level in this analytical thinking, problem solving. So when we come to this much more newer technologies, you can pick up all these skills. How to do some of this analytical thinking and problem solving in big data, in so-called motion control. So eventually when you master all these skills over here, then you can go to this application and make it much more faster. Of course, today you can see autonomous car. We look at movies, there's a lot of those called high-tech movie looking at car that can drive itself. And we also look at promotion, we also look at news that some company already released this and that, but do we actually see everyone using it in the street today? No, I think we still need a long way to do it. So we need a lot of STEM background personnel to help up what we have today, to improve it and to make the things realized. Right? So this is what I think about STEM. Right? Back to you, Jason.
Okay, Mr. Poo. Right. With all these informations that the four of you have given to me right now, I think I want to start poking some holes, yeah, if you don't mind. So Bernard, you talk about digitalization just now. You said that STEM education, IR 4.0, essentially in layman term means digitalization. So it means that every aspect of our life will start to become more automated. Things become faster and seamless. In the sense of education then, from the perspective of a student in Form 3, going into Form 4, 15 years old to 16 years old, why then should they worry about digitalization? Because they still go to the school as usual, they still read the same textbook, the same syllabus. It seems like digitalization hasn't affected them yet. So what can we do more to let the student know or bring their awareness up to the level that they can see that digitalizations can actually affect them in the next 5 to 10 years?
So, Dr. T, so in actual reality, what has happened to most students or in the education world nowadays, most of the students already encountered and experienced the digitization. And one of the things that happen is that in education is that most of them right now, most of you are actually studying from home, right? So all are connected through, let's say, Zoom or different platforms. So actually, they already got a feel of kind of an industry interconnecting between the teachers as well as the student itself. Now, of course, the other aspect that some of the people are going towards is how do you do lab works? How do you do exercise, online? So probably the tools is the next step that we'll probably need to get to do. So in actual reality, most of you have already experienced Industry 4.0 in a kind of way, interconnectivity. And of course, you do faces a lot of issues, challenges in life. Now, of course, this bring forward what you're going to do in future. With this in mind, you're going to be like, for example, all this that you learn about IT, you learn about your PC itself, you learn about, for example, talking to your teachers, feedback to your teachers itself. So to tell you the truth, most of the students already experience kind of a way Industry 4.0 already. Now, of course, in our moving forward in our future life, they will experience more. You will probably be seeing things like autonomous driving. This is where eventually life will go. Now, of course, in order to be able to experience through that and involve in those things, students will need to know about STEM, for example. Otherwise, how do they know basically how does autonomous driving works? What actually controls autonomous driving? So this is something that most students, once they experience it and later moving forward, they will be able to know why these certain things are done. So I do believe that most students already experience Industrial 4.0 in a kind of way. Not as what we experience in industry, but they are experiencing in some way or another at home. Hey, Dr. Tay.
Right, right. I think you have a very good point over there. Um, yeah. So I guess with the difficulties that they have with online learning, sometimes the technical difficulties, I think they might have considered as well. Why not we do this? Why not we do that? And I think part of that thinking also related to their critical thinking, right? Their ability to solve this technical problem. So in order to solve this problem, then they need also, like what you say, right? Science education, science knowledge, right? So, Mr. Tan, yeah, and just like you mentioned that 80%, you cite a statistic from the US Department. You say that
Yes.
80% of the future job requires STEM education in the future. So, being an expert yourself in the semiconductor industry, right? How do you think that is? How do you think this IR 4.0 and STEM is related, or how can these two key terms, right, affect the semiconductor industry?
Okay. Thank you for the question. I think let me start to give a brief overview of the semiconductor industry in Malaysia, especially in Penang. Today, I think semiconductor powers everything, right? From smartphone, from PC, from laptop, and to even car. I have almost confident that all of us here, including the audience, which connect through online, or the panel, including our moderator, you have all of us have many some semiconductor in our possession. Okay, I'm very sure. So whether you are owning a laptop, whether you are owning a smartphone from Apple, iPhone, or let's say Huawei or Samsung, there are many semiconductor inside. So for Malaysia, actually, we are a major player in semiconductor. 70% of total semiconductor trade flow through Malaysia. Can you imagine how big? 7% of total semiconductor in the world. In addition, semiconductor actually is a global electronic supply chain, where E&E export at about 39% of total Malaysia export, value at 386 billion, where contribute to 6.8% of GDP and employing more than 575 jobs. There's a lot of jobs in 2020, which means that semiconductor E&E play a very, very major role in our industry and in our economy. So let me go to a little bit more, give you some flavor about what is this semiconductor is all about. Why is Industry 4.0 are very crucial to ensure that we remains competitive in this semiconductor sector. Okay, basically semiconductor manufacturing is often split into two subcategories, namely front-end semiconductor wafer fabrication, where transistors are actually created. So I don't want to go to too much technical detail, but back-end assembly and test, often also called as OSAT. There are many major big company in Penang actually are doing this kind of the back-end assembly and test, and they are doing very, very well. Where what do they do is interconnect, form bigger packaging, and final product tests are performed before shipment to their customer. So, but the production of semiconductor is highly complex manufacturing with hundreds of processes, and each step had to be processed in a very highly specialized and expensive equipment, and it had to be also processed in the dust-free environment with the very stable temperature, humidity level, we call clean room. And where you have, from time to time, you can see that people working in the clean room, they wear bunny suit. This is how the semiconductor is being processed in the clean room environment. So, for instance, semiconductor wafer fabrication consists easily 300 to 1,000 process steps, and it take about 1 to 3 months cycle time from the start till completed fully processed wafer. Besides, at any one time in the modern fab, in the wafer fab plant, there are as many of 10 of thousands of wafer from hundred of, or if not thousand of different product, and each product have a different design. Each design have easily, or each product have 10 to 40 photo mask layer, different dedicated layer. So you can imagine how complex in terms of logistic and engineering of a semiconductor manufacturing. It's almost impossible if you don't adopt Industry 4.0 in the semiconductor manufacturing. In fact, any misprocess or fraud in any step of what I mentioned, 300 to 1,000 steps during the wafer fabrication process, the transistor, or they say the wafer that you produce will fail and you have to be scrapped. So I can just relate one experience which I have when I have my first international assignment in back in mid 90 in the fab in San Jose, US, which is a relative old fab and small fab. That time there was no Industry 4.0. Every single wafer had to be processed manually by operator in a specialized tool. And of course, occasionally, just as I mentioned, how complex is the logistic and also engineering for the semiconductor manufacturing. They are always misprocessed, human error, process drift, flop, and frankly, because Industrial 4.0 adapted in the fab during that time, the wafer fab actually did not do very well. Hence, to comprehend this very highly complicated semiconductor manufacturing, Industry 4.0, like smart factory concept, as also mentioned by IR Bernard just now, which full integration manufacturing and automation system, big data and advanced analytic, even with human machine interaction, are deployed in the semiconductor manufacturing. And these are the smart factory concept are very actually essential and key for ensuring semiconductor chips are fabricated flawlessly at high level of quality, efficiency, and productivity. In short, I will say that the Industry 4.0 is very, very important for Malaysia, especially for our E&E and semiconductor industry, because it will ensure that we will remain competitive, because the semiconductor manufacturing is very highly complicated and expensive manufacturing, and I can say this also very high tech in terms of manufacturing technology. Thank you. Bernard, Jason, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tan. Yes, very very insightful introductions and descriptions about the semiconductor industry and also how IR 4.0 can affect our education. I think you inspire me to ask some question later on. I'll get back to you. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Yeah. I think Dr. Lee first. Dr. Lee, I want to ask you. Just now you mentioned that you bring out the idea that STEM can solve complex problems, but some people would say that, but other fields can do so too, right? What comments do you have that? I mean, how is STEM more advantageous, right, or bring more benefit to the practitioner in terms of solving complex, sophisticated problems?
Yes, yeah. I think in our last those days, yeah, I mean, experiment is very important part in the science STEM curriculum. So like in physics, like in math and chemistry, we learn how to carry out the experiment step by step. And along the experiment, you investigate what is going wrong, yeah, when you do not get your expected result and so on. So this is how STEM train a person to solve the problem in a systematic approach. I mean, for the simple problem, you can just simply carry out from troubleshooting by trial and error. Yeah, then it solve the problem. But do you think that we can solve the problem by using trial and error method for designing a rocket or for launching a vehicle for automated driving? No, no way. We have to really adopt a systematic approach, complex problem solving method. Now, for example, when we launch the product, we will identify the requirement, following by identify the specification. After that, we roll out the requirement for different design. Yeah, for example, mechanical, electrical, electronic, software, and so on. And when you have designed something, for sure we will face the problem. And how we resolve the problem is we try to adopt a proper risk assessment methodology, like for example, a product failure mode and effect review and so on. Then after that, when we launch the product into some production, then we see the problem, then we can have the proper solver method following the quality step. Yeah, in industry, I think we call 8D problem solving steps. So without this structure or framework, yeah, based on the STEM, so I don't think we can go further. This is my opinion. Yeah, Jason, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee.
Mm.
Before I throw one general question back to the public, I want to ask Mr. Poo first, right? I want to get back to Mr. Poo. Mr. Poo, you mentioned that science stream, right, is able to meet all these new specialties that has been spurred up by the introductions of IR 4.0, the revolutions of STEM education. Um, the reason that the general, it seems like, right, people, students has becoming less interested in STEM because one of the cited reason is they think that the study of STEM is relatively more difficult than non-STEM education. So how can we steer them right away from thinking that? Because we have seen many people, right, able to make it through STEM education and have a very successful career in STEM, in science and technology. So how do we steer this kind of misconception that STEM is more difficult?
Okay, my personal view will be something like this. Right? It is not only the student itself that can take up STEM like this. Maybe out of 1,000, maybe the 5%, the student himself or herself have the interest to do that. But the most important is the surrounding, the environment. Parents, friends, peers plays a very important role. Right? So parents, especially parents, parents should give some encouragement. The parents himself must understand what is the importance of STEM and what is the futures of STEMs, so that they might give some examples and show materials, show some of these real case of application to their children's. How is this thing works? Stir up their interest. Then at the same time, I give up one example would do. Maybe they will show a simple kind of this sound transmission, sound transmission, by putting up two blank cans and one string attached to the end of the can from one side to one side. And they can pull straight the string, and one of the end, maybe they will try to speak, and through the vibrations, through the string itself, and the other end of the cans might have sound come out. Of course, it might be from one place to another place by separating by one rooms. And then the children itself might feel, how this thing happened? I can hear the voice through this a string and also two cans. So these are the way that parents should stir up the interest of sciences for their children. Then the children will try to find out, what is the principle behind this? How can this thing work? Of course, you should not go to the parts of deriving the formulas, the calculation, all these things. No, don't. When you derive the formulas and these calculation, the children itself might get scared. So complex. This is where the wrong approach might stir the students' interest away. What the parents should do is tell them that sound over here actually is activated by some kind of wave, and through vibration alone, it can transmit from one place to another place, just like that. Maybe you can experience, you can do experiments on other types of materials. Instead of using a metal tin, why don't you use a wood tin, a component, a wood this container, or even a plastic container? Then change the material of the string. Instead of this woven string, can you use it or maybe a metal type of wire? Is there any difference? So let the student try out. When they try out all these things, then they try to find things. This material A, the sound is a bit weak. That material B, the sound is good, but a bit blur. Then they're trying to find out this and that. They make notes. And today's is much more better. We have something called internet. And they can go and Googles, look for YouTubes, look for other kinds of books. Of course, they want to find the fundamentals concept only. This is good. This is during their primary times. Means between the age of 6 to 12. This is to really stir up their interest. When they go to secondary school, I think that is the part that they're trying to find out more into detail. How can this type of material transfer the wave much more better than others? Is there any things behind it? Then they're trying to find out the properties of the material. What is that? Is it the density of the material have any effect of this? What are the formula that govern the transmission of this and that? So I believe that this is one part that parents can try to do. Second thing. So now imagine that more and more parents participate in this way of training their kids, and they will have more and more children that like to do science, experience this and that. Where your kids might mix with another kids. So means the peer. In the same groups, there will be many of their friends also like to do this. So when they do this, they might have some games, some competitions. So this competition over here between kids A and kids B, different family. Why don't we have some of this competition? So we try to design, without any calculation, design some sort of this mechanism that I can transmit a voice 100 meter away just using this type of toucan and a string. Of course, they can play around with the thickness of the string, the material, going to make themselves interest in this field. But of course, today's I hardly see kids play with this. Maybe they go to computer games. I'm not saying that computer game is bad. I'm saying that their time spent will be in computer games, in internet, watching movie, and other things. We should go back to the old days, where kids trying to do experiment, whether it is good or bad, but it stir up something, the interest to find things. And interest to find things is the basic of all scientists. Scientists trying to find the solution, trying to find answer. That I think will be the basis for all the STEM, what we should train them to do. So back to you, Jason.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Poo. So so based on the opinions from 4 panels, right? I think we agree that STEM, a career in STEM, right, is rewarding, right? And there is plenty of opportunities in Malaysia. As Mr. Tan pointed out just now, the E&E industry in Malaysia is thriving. It accounts for a huge proportions of a country GDP. And in fact, Malaysia has been recognized as one of the global hub, right, for E&E sector. So and right now I want to throw one question out, right, and 4 of you can jump in and discuss and provide your opinion anytime. It seems like there is a disconnection between. It seems like, right? It seems like there's a disconnection between the importance and the developments of this industry going on with what the education is going on as well. It seems like in education we continue to talk about traditional science, traditional syllabus. How do we make science education more rewarding, right? Beyond than just getting higher marks, a better grade. How do we let the student feel, right? It is rewarding for them in the future. In other words, right, how do we make science education in high school more marketable to the students, to the parents of the students? So I guess to put it simply, right, how do we integrate this concept of IR 4.0 with the traditional education that we have right now? Anyone can start, yeah. If you would like to jump in.
Maybe I can start off, Jason.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question that you brought up. How we did the conventional way of education in the past. Those days, what we do is basically we have lab exercise we were just talking briefly earlier as well. We have lab exercise in schools, and then we have theory all together. But as we move along in this new age, we call it, right, digital age, we call it, we should be doing something differently, actually. And it's actually STEM is about, to me personally, is actually fun. When I say fun means practical work, one of the things that a lot of students would like to know is, let's say, for example, robotics, coding, robotics, that is basically some of the things that we can bring, some of these STEM activities to be more fun to their students itself, or to all of you audience. Not only students, probably parents as well, rather than be more dry. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think it is best that to address the way how education done to it differently, and by doing practical work, by one of the exercise that we in the in industry were trying to do is to collaborate with the schools and actually promote practical work. For example, now we are talking about robotics. So we get the children to play around with robotics, assemble robotics, and then do some coding work. The other things that we have done also, since we are talking about renewable energy, we get children to assemble let's say solar panels and systems, and then do some coding work. Now these are some of the things that in education itself is how we can actually get it to be more what called fun, rather than very dry, where basically you work on textbooks. Now, of course, after you have done your practical work, the next step most people will tend to have is that, why are certain things like our friend T.S. Poo have mentioned, why certain things are moving towards that direction? Why is this, why does when we write certain codes, or why when we actually, how does, the solar panel is actually able to capture the energy from the sun, for example? That's the second step where theory comes into play, where education will supply the know-how on it. But the first part has to happen, the fun part has to happen, then followed by the theory part. So that's what I felt the moving forward, the education should move forward towards. That's my opinion, Dr. Tay.
All right, thank you, Bernard. Anyone? Perhaps Mr. Poo, I think you want to say something. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think in the primary schools, for parents, I think this will be a very low budget, since that most of the kids, they have personal computers, PC, or even maybe this tablet. They can try out with some fun part of coding, not the programming types. Those are block type. So this click and drag most probably is input and output. So they just put some logical algorithms to come up with some kind of output. I think this is a basic in primary school that you can do. So when you go to secondary school, you might go a bit higher. Of course, this part over here, there are two methods that you can try out. First thing, you can enhance the part of your coding, that in the part of this block. So instead of putting input and output, now you're trying to do some basic calculation. Inside, we have input in some formulas, this and that, where you can try out something like this. In maybe Form 2, Form 3, you have mathematics talking about simultaneous equation, two variables, right? Two variables. So you try to write some coding, something like you input your x, you input your y, and then using some this algorithm to solve what is the answer of x and y in this simultaneous equation. It can be done. It's not complex. It can be done. So when student do this, he will feel that hey, I already applied what I have learned in my mathematics in this coding, and it really works. It solved my problem. I can use manual calculation and then verify from my coding to see, the answer is the same. So this is one way. The second method you can do, as what just now I Bernard said, today we have a lot of this Arduino kit, Arduino kits, a robotic types now, So maybe 100, 200 plus minus, can you get a very good kits? So this is so some call like you can also write programs and coding to control how your robot's going to move up and down, left and right, turning, spinning, all kind of things. So this will be the part that going to stir up their interest and how they move along in futures. All these skills over here, we are not talking about how to like programming anymore. This the way that they solve their problems is they are going to use the same method how they solve the problem in their futures. So maybe this is this is how I think. Hey, back to you, Jason.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Dr. Lee, yeah, you want to say something? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, yeah, maybe I can also provide my comment on this method. Okay, I think for current parent, I think we have to see the future. Yeah, I think if let's say we don't have enough student enroll into the science stream now, so what will happen down the road, 10 years, 20 years? We will lack of engineers, doctors, pharmacists, and so on for those professions are now related to STEM. And at that time, we may not have people, yeah, to innovate the product, yeah, and to maintain the infrastructure and so on. So from my point of view, the opportunity of the STEM job is tremendous, big opportunity. There's no doubt of that. And about the conventional education system, I see that conventional education system syllabus is still very relevant. We still need to learn the basics, yeah, like what we have done in last those days. But I agree with what Bernard and also Alex say. The current issue need to be addressed and to be integrated as part of the syllabus. Like for example, yeah, solar panel and so on. Those are the current issue. And then what is the challenge, for the climate change? What will be the benefit of the industrial 4.0? And those things has to be brought into attention of the current students so they have the better view of the future. And another thing I would like to compliment is to solve the problem, STEM graduate, what I see is they are more resilient, yeah, they are more patient and they are passionate to solve the problem with the knowledge they have. Probably this is the training that they gain, yeah, or from their STEM education. This is what I can say. Yeah, back to you, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Okay.
Maybe
Hi,
I
Mr.
can talk
Tan.
about
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
So
go
I
ahead.
think first of all, I think I know as a parent, they want the best for the children, because education, actually there's a lot of effort, money behind that. So every student, every parent wanted the kid, not just study something, but they want so that whatever they learn, prepare themselves for good career in the future, lah. So of course, I think first of all, the parents first of all, we need to aware that as we mentioned, all of us, the panel mentioned, right? Because we are living in the beginning of the industry 4.0 and also digital transformation. There will be a lot of opportunity, whether you like it or not. Uh, 80% or more of the skill requires certain level of STEM lah. So definitely study for STEM or science, definitely prepare them well for their future job, I would say lah. So therefore, I think first of all, I always hear from time to time parents discourage their student to do science stream. Should not do that lah. There are plenty of opportunity. Of course, I think in order to do well, whatever you do, there must be certain passion or let's say interest for the kid lah. So the kid, if they like to study science, don't discourage them. Okay, encourage them. And I will tell you that don't worry about that. There are plenty of opportunity as long as you do well. Like you have to study hard, of course, then you will do well. There will be plenty because we are living in this industrial 4.0 era. Beginning, I would say, not the end, right? And also digital transformation. Secondly, I want to say something about how we learn science. Okay, during my time, learning science from the textbook lah. There's no way other way lah. Learning from the textbook, doing some mathematics solution. But it's quite fun for me. Of course, I have interest in that. No problem for that. But today, learning is not through textbook alone. So learning can go through multimedia. Definitely, it will help. Today, I learn a lot of things through multimedia, through internet, through visualization, multimedia. Basically, you can hear, you can see, you can turn around 3D, so make the thing interesting, because l- learning about science is not to memorizing. Maybe for certain profession, memorize something is very important, but definitely not for, of course, memorize is also important. You need to know. But I think learning science is about understanding. So because once you understand, then you can always come a new way, or let's say, the curiosity will drive you, and then you will go even further and deeper, and that make the learning of science very, very interesting. Okay, so this is why I say learning. In fact, I know many of my colleagues from Europe, from US, they told me, for them, their learning is about learning with fun, playing. You see, but somehow that here is a learning for in the end in mind for exam. I understand, because parents want the kid to do well. Okay, but that probably is important, which I think. But I think we also need to know that learning, we playing and have fun, as what Dr. Lee had mentioned, and many of us have also mentioned, is very, very important. That's one thing, So this, I think, in the way the parent, first of all, you don't discourage if the kid have a passion in the science or technology, encourage them, and also we to utilize the today advanced technology, learning with multimedia, you know, so that I would think it will enhance the learning and also have fun towards the learning. Thank you. Jason, there's some input from my side. Back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tan, and thank you, everyone. So I think to wrap it up, right, we can say that STEM education definitely go beyond, right, just high school education. It affect our life. It affect their career. It will provide them a livelihood, so to say, right, and a very how to say, an interesting one, right? They thrive in their livelihood, and with those thriving livelihood, they can do many other things apart from their work. So it is a rewarding career. So we hope that today's discussion can encourage, right, students and also parents especially, to encourage their students subsequently to do and to pursue STEM education. So with that, I think we have come to the end of the discussion. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Dr. Lee. Thank you, Mr. Pu. Thank you, Mr. Tan, and thank you, Mr. Bernard. So I hope everyone will have a good weekend, and hope you can stay tuned and join our second session. Right, back to the team, right?
Thank you, Dr. Jason, and our distinguished panel of guest speakers for their very informative sharing on STEM and IR 4.0. We have come to the conclusion of our first session, but please do join us for our second session starting at 11 a.m., where we'll be hearing from the corporate world next. If you're wondering which companies are actually hiring all the STEM practitioners, you definitely don't want to miss the next session. We'll be taking a short break, so see you all back at 11 a.m. Thank you, everyone. Hi everyone, welcome back to Tecdom Penang's talk on Path to Success the STEM Way. If you're just joining us, we are live here on Tecdom Penang's Facebook page as well as on YouTube. In the first session, we heard from members of STEM professional bodies on how STEM is driving Malaysia towards IR 4.0 and how important STEM is in our everyday lives. If you missed the first session and would like to rewatch it, you can always catch the recording of the stream right here on our Facebook page. Before we start the second session, Charting Your Children's Future, please allow me the pleasure of introducing the moderator, Mr. Richard Chong, General Manager of Penang STEM.
Hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Hi, Mr. Richard. Yes.
Hi. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for joining us on this beautiful morning. On behalf of Tecdom Penang, the organizers, and also Penang STEM, I bid you a warm welcome. And to all the parents that joined us this morning, thank you so much for joining us, and more importantly, congratulations. Why? Because I think you took the trouble to join us this morning, because we hope from this session we'll be able to share some useful insights with you on how you can play your role to help the children decide on the path that they will take after they finish the schooling. All right. I know it's not easy to be a parent, having gone through this experience twice. So I think that despite what some people might say, that we should allow the children more freedom to decide what they want to do. I think we need to give them some guidance as well, because they definitely will need some help from us to open their eyes to the many challenges that they might face along the way, right? For example, I mean, look at the situation of the contract doctors. Very noble profession, no doubt. I'm sure many parents would want the children to go that path. And by the way, that is also a STEM pathway. But I think, of course, circumstances in our country today has caused a little bit of complication. So we hope that by joining us today, you will be able to gain some useful insights on what industry can offer your children in the future. All right. Our twin objectives of having this session, which is aptly called Charting Your Children's Future, is mainly to share with you tremendous progress that has been charted by industry in Penang over the last 5 decades. And also, we hope that with the presence of two very special guests here from public listed companies, we hope that they will be able to also help you to future-proof your children. All right. So what we'll do is I will introduce a special guest a little later. We shall probably start with a short slide presentation just to let you know the organization that I represent, Penang STEM. All right. So we will just run through the slides, Martin. Thank you. Okay, Penang STEM is actually a state-initiated organization set up in 2017, and we carry the tagline "Creating Future Talents Today." Right. I think the tagline itself will tell you what's the main objective that we are tasked with. Right. Uh, okay. Next slide. Okay. Penang STEM actually comprises six STEM organizations which were set up mainly to complement what students learn in school under the formal curriculum. Meaning that during our studies that we conducted prior to the setup of Penang STEM, we of course interacted with the education department, teachers, and most of them, of course, gave feedback that they would appreciate help if we could also bring in practical hands-on learning into schools, because they are limited, of course, by expertise as well as manpower and as well as costs. All right. So in setting up the next time, I think the state was targeting towards helping students to do practical hands-on learning for STEM. Right. And as you know, talents need to be nurtured from young. All right. So Penang STEM, if you look at the ecosystem that we have on the slide, you will notice that we cover Our STEM centers actually cover STEM education from the young to even working adults. We start with Tech Dome Penang, of course, the host for today. They actually cater more to the primary and the lower secondary students. Penang Science Cluster actually covers the secondary students. And then, of course, we have two organizations that actually cater to students in the tertiary level. PSDC, Penang Skills Development Center, they conduct programs mostly in engineering for students who intend to pursue the engineering pathway. And ACAT was supposed to be a center to help startups or digital entrepreneurs. At the moment, they are under some reorganization, but that's the task that they have been set with. And then we have the PMP, or the Penang Math Platform, which focuses on math for all age groups. And of course, the last center that we have there is the PDL, or Penang Digital Library, which is the resource center for students to go and actually do research and even do their schoolwork or homework at the beautifully set up Penang Digital Libraries. There are actually three of them at the moment. Two in Penang on the island and one on the mainland in Seberang Prime. All right. Okay, we move on to the next slide. Okay, I think we will do the video presentation now. A short video presentation that is actually by courtesy of Invest Penang. As you all may know, Invest Penang is the agency set up by the state to help to assist direct investments from abroad as well as local. So for companies which wish to set up operations in Penang, they are the agency to go to. So let's just watch their short video and see tremendous job that they have done over the years, right?
We are connected. We are Industry 4.0 focused. And together, we build the future. We are Penang, the Silicon Island of Asia, the hardware and innovation hub of the tech world. With the conducive business environment, we attract industrial titans to our shores. We continuously support SMEs in Penang by assisting local companies to move up the value chain and promote the culture of Silicon Valley startups. Centralizing business operations from global locations with future-ready global talents. We propel Penang to become the intelligent international hub in the digital economy. This is Penang, and the future is here.
Thank you. All right. I think if you watch the video closely, you have seen that Invest Penang has really done a tremendous job in bringing investments into the state. And maybe just a little bit of insight about the FIZs in Penang, or the free industrial zones. Penang started the Bayan Lepas Free Trade Zone back in the early 70s, the brainchild of our second Chief Minister, Dr. Lim Chong Yu. That's when the Gerakan took over the state, and he decided to bring in foreign investors to set up operations here to provide employment to our locals. So I think he started with 8 companies in Penang, coming from the US, from Japan, and from Germany. And there were 8 of them, and they were actually affectionately called the 8 Samurais then. Of course, after that, the Bayan Lepas started growing, and then we needed more industrial sites to be set up. So the state set up the Pride Industrial Zone, and then there was also a smaller industrial zone in Mak Mandin before moving on to Batu Kawan. which is now, of course, the main one that is under construction. A lot of companies are going in there now, and in fact, I believe that the land there is also fully taken up, and that's why the state recently has been talking about setting up the PSR, Penang South Reclamation. Yes, there are some issues that have arisen. Basically, I think the objective of setting up the project was mainly to cater for more investment so that we can provide more employment to the young generation. I won't go into the polemics of the project, whether it should or should not be done, but it is something that was planned partly because of the tremendous growth in the manufacturing sector. So what I'll do is I will take you through a few more slides on the contribution of Penang, especially the manufacturing sector. So we just go through a few snapshots to give you a better idea of where we stand in terms of manufacturing, right? Okay, next one. So in terms, these are the figures that was extracted for 2019 to 2020. So fairly recent. So for the last 2 years, 2019 and 2020, Penang actually brought in about 31 billion of investments, manufacturing investments into the state. That represented 18% of Malaysia's total. So a pretty impressive number. And then if you move to the second box on the top, you find that 25.6 billion came from foreign direct investments, or FDI, and that's 23% of Malaysia's total. That means that the other 5.4 billion actually came from local companies which have reinvested or are going into expansion plans. So for the last 2 years, the total number of jobs created was 32,000. And I think there'll be more needed down the road, right? And in terms of the country's Penang's export, the Penang's export, the total actually 310 billion last year, and the trade surplus was 110 billion. So the E&E industry alone contributed 231 billion. All right, so tremendous job by Invest Penang. I think they've done a tremendous job. And the problem now today is, of course, with more companies coming in, with more investments coming in, of course, we need more technical talents, and the industry is crying out for talents. I'm sure the two guests who will be joining us today will be able to share more on this. All right. Okay, next slide. Okay. Penang's manufacturing industry has actually transformed over the years. I think back in the 70s, of course, it's all very human. It required human touch, right? But now today we are going into technology, and for that, actually, we are looking at more high tech and more cutting edge technology. So, meaning that the ones who want to enter the industry should be equipped in STEM and also electronics and technology. All right. Okay. Next. Okay, this is just a snapshot of some of the companies that have actually made their presence in Penang. Many companies, and there are many more that it's not listed here. But if you look at some of the names, the brands, I'm sure you know that they come from all over the world. So we have players from MNCs or the multinationals, mostly from US, Germany, and also Japan and the other well-established countries in technology. And then we also have a lot of local players. Some who have started in a smaller way and who have now grown to what we call the LLCs, or the large local corporations. Some of them, in fact, have even gone to the global stage. And that's what we term the global companies, right? Okay, if you wish to go into all these details of these companies, of course, you can always check them out through the Invest Penang website, all right? Okay, next. Okay, so these are the most recent investments that came in from abroad. You can see companies like Micron, which is American, Bosch, which came in much earlier, is now going into their expansion plans to be invest and to come in a bigger way, right? S&M actually is a Smith and Nephew, a UK company, and then Lam Research is also a US company. It's not the local Lam from Malaysia, yeah. Dexcom also from US and UCT. So these are the six major ones that has more or less on the way to start operations here. And if you look at the green rows at the bottom, you see the number of jobs that have been created by these companies as well. Again, so as you can see, there are a lot of demand for talents, especially the technical talents, and we are hoping that more of the younger generation will consider going into these fields of work. All right, that's why today we have. I think that's the end of our the slide presentation. So today we are of course honored to have two very special guests. They are CEOs of two of the local companies which has actually gained a foothold in Penang. I consider them, like I said, as LLCs or large local corporations. One, in fact, is also gone global in the sense that it has set up operations in other countries. All right, I will go a little bit into the corporate background of the company before I bring in the guests. But I mentioned that these two companies are actually public listed. So in case some of you parents are hoping to get some stock tips from them, I'm sorry to disappoint you because today we are not into stock recommendations. But I'm sure they'll be able to do much more than that for you. You can get better ROI to investing in your children's future. All right. So I will touch on the first company first. That is going to the CEO who's going to join us today. This is actually UWC Berhad. All right. The company was set up in 1990. And it was just a trading company then. But in 1997, they set up the first manufacturing plant in Bukit Minyak, which is also another industrial site on the mainland. And in the year 2000, they went into precision machine manufacturing before venturing into metal fabrication in 2005, and then also into life sciences and medical technology in 2006. The second manufacturing plant was set up in 2007, and they started offering full assembly services thereafter. All right. They also went into heavy equipment industry in 2014, and they moved into the new plant in Batu Kawang in 2018. Right. They were listed on the main board of the Bursa Saham in the year 2019. So today we'll be having their deputy CEO with us, whom I'll introduce shortly. And the other company with us today is actually Inari Emertron Berhad. Very familiar name if you're in the technology circle and also, let's say, in the investment circle because their name often pops up, right? Inari is actually a leading global provider of outsourced semiconductor assembly and test services, or OSAT. They were established in 2006, setting up just one single plant of about 26,000 square feet in Penang. But today they have 9 plants located across Malaysia, the Philippines, and China, with a total built-up area of 1.8 million square feet and a workforce of 5,500 or more. All right. They were listed on the ACE market of Bursa Malaysia in 2011 and transferred to the main board in 2014. Right. Today, they are considered as one of the largest technology corporations in Malaysia with a market cap of over 10 billion ringgit. Okay. The They also believe in doing their, in corporate services, meaning that they actually give focus to environmental and social governance practices. So they were actually recognized for this, and they got an award under FESE for Good Bursa Saham Index in the year 2020. All right, you need to check their website for details if you're interested to find out what this is. All right. Um, so Inari is definitely one of those companies that we call local, in the sense that they are already came from local and have gone global, and they are one of the shining examples of what local technology companies can do. During one of my private communication, of course, with the CEO who's joining us afterwards, he did mention that, of course, one day he hopes to see that Inari also involved in helping to educate the young in the fields of science and technology. I think I forgot to mention too that UWC also had set up their own education center in Seberang Prai, and they're also offering scholarships to students. All right. So without further ado, I shall bring in the first guest speaker, Mr. Martin Ng. He is the Deputy Group Chief Executive Officer of UWC Berhad. He was the Head of Corporate Affairs and Communications prior to this. He is an accountant by profession. He had prior audit experience with international audit firm, and he also holds directorship in several private limited companies. He holds a Bachelor of Arts First Class Honours in Accounting and Finance in the University of Exeter, and then also did his Master of Science there in Accounting and Finance. Right? He's a member of the ACCA, of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, and also a member of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. He also holds other positions in Penang Skills Development Center. He's a vice chairman, and he's also an advisor for the Junior Chamber International of Baru. And then he is also he's member of the Industry Advisory Committee of the Polytechnic Seberang Prai, and also a committee member of the FMM, or the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers. So shall we give a warm welcome to Mr. Martin Ng for him to share his personal and corporate experiences. Thank you.
For almost 3 decades, UWC has grown beyond expectations. From a wire cut machine trading company into one of the largest contract manufacturers in Malaysia's northern region. Our tremendous growth can be traced back to several key elements, such as solid financials and strong human resources. As we step into a new era at UWC, we must first appreciate our roots and the great thing. In 2017, UWC purchased 12 acres of land to house their brand new plant at Batu Kawan. Our engineers are top of their field, innovative and technically competent, ensuring products are designed to be cost-effective, functional, reliable and safe. This move is in line with UWC's plans to expand its capabilities as a preferred contract manufacturer. We also manufacture an assortment of quality parts and products according to our customers' specifications. We are capable to manufacture
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Richard, for the introduction. I'm Martin. Probably, Fatih, do you want to help me to share with the screen of my slides? Yeah, all right, got it. Right, good morning once again. Thank you, TechDom, for inviting me for this session, my sharing session. Let me give you a brief introduction on what is UWC, who are we, and what we are doing. So this is UWC. Hold on. So UWC was established, as mentioned, we are established 31 years ago. We are an integrated engineering service provider, providing manufacturing services, manufacturing test equipment ranging from the semiconductor to the life science industries. We got ourselves listed on 10th of July 2019 in the main market of Bursa, Malaysia, under the sector of technologies. As at last week, our market capitalization stood at 6 billion ringgit. I always like to start my presentation by sharing our company vision, mission, and value. Our vision is to be the preferred integrated OEM partners providing complete solution to our partners. And therefore, you can see 70% of our revenue coming from box building equipment to our customers. We call it end-to-end solution. We box build from scratch to fully functional equipment and ship it to our end customer. Our mission is to provide complete solution for high-tech strategic partners. We don't call our customer as customer, and indeed we call them as strategic partners, and together we grow. As you can see, all of our customers are the market leader of their respective industries. That's why we provide these people with manufacturing services. So UWC started, as mentioned, UWC started as a trading company selling wire cut machine. That's how the name of UWC come about, unique wire cut. However, with our belief of transformation and diversification, we know that unique wire cut no longer relevant to our today business. And therefore, we introduce our new core value, which is unity, willpower, and commitment. That's all what we do over here is bounded by all our core value. UWC was founded by two founders, Dato' Ng, the group CEO, and also Mr. Lau Chi Kiong, our group COO. So that's our corporate structures. We consist of few subsidiaries. Mainly, we produce equipment. However, these few subsidiaries focus in different processes. Our headquarters is at Batu Kawan. And as at today, we have about 1,100 workers, which about 300 over engineers in Batu Kawan. Of course, all the remaining Malaysian workers in our factories are technical-based workforce. We have representatives in the US as well as Vietnam. And in year 2020, we are recognized as one of the Forbes Asia Best Under a Billion companies in Asia. Just give you a snapshot of UWC. This is our factory at Batu Kawan, consists of few of the plant. Of course, as you can see from our corporate video earlier, we have more plans coming up. We are constructing more factories to cater for our business expansion and to cater for the global demand. In summary, our core competencies includes design and development, in-house metal fabrication, in-house precision machining, in-house painting, box building assembly, full turnkey assembly, and customized machine integration. Together, along with our supporting competency, we have IR 4.0 drive factories, quick and rapid API, dedicated project team, professional engineering team, and we also offer services such as JIT, Kanban, KVMI, and VMI support. As mentioned earlier, UWC involved in several business segments. We involved in semiconductor, we involved in life science, we involved in telecommunication, or rather, the biggest team right now, we call it 5G, and of course, last, we involved in the vacuum pressure vessel and technologies. Before I introduce to what the equipment does or what our equipment that we manufacture does, let me start by giving you an idea about technologies. So let's start with 5G. Right now, 5G looks like a jargon. Everyone, when we are looking at now the new devices, new smartphone, new tablets, definitely we will ask the first question is this device compatible with 5G? And coming back, what is 5G? Of course, when we look into 2G, we are looking at SMS, and it was created since year 1991 and eventually moved to 3G, which is in year 1998, which covered a bit of internet. 4G, of course, in the year 2008, of course, we have video, we have slightly faster internet, and today we are talking about 5G. Year 2020, 5G, and I would summarize 5G in one thing: connectivity. Is everyone stay connected, integrated? All the devices, any devices that you think of, can be integrated with the 5G. Of course, we would think that 5G is a big thing as it's going to ramp very fast. However, of course, over the past 1 year, we witnessed pandemic. Definitely, pandemic is not going to stop the evolvement of technologies. However, it will prolong the introduction of 5G. So what is 5G? 5G, we are expecting a faster internet rate. We are expecting at least 100 times more improvement over 4G and 4.5G. We are expecting close to 100% of availabilities, 100% of coverage, less network energy usage, more battery lifespans. As mentioned earlier, when we mentioned about 5G, we mentioned about connectivity. Everything can be stay connected. So we are expecting up to more than 100 devices around us is connected with 5G as compared to what we have right now, 4G. And of course, we are expecting a bigger bandwidth. Put in all, summary, 5G means fast, reactive, more environmental friendly, connecting everyone. And 5G is not an evolution of 4G, but a revolution. So when we look into 5G, we are expecting more things to be connected. For example, we have smart wearable, smart mobility, smart parking, car-to-car communication or V2V communication, utilities, e-health, domotics, connected house, entertainment systems, securities, and surveillance. And one of the biggest reasons that why smart home or this what I call remote operation is not so popular right now, it's not so widely adopted right now, is because we are lacking of 5G. I give you an instance. Why we are not using smart home? A layman's story would be, if let's say we are using 4G, due to the instabilities of the connectivity, let's say you close your door or open your aircon at home with a smartphone, because of the unstable, what they call the connectivity, the door might close just halfway. And therefore, this is probably one of the biggest reasons that we are not adopting to smart home. And secondly, as you can see, past few years, China have introduced the remote operation. And how can it be made possible? Because of the data connectivity stabilities is made possible, which means the doctors is not present physically at the operation theaters, but via remote operation. And because of the stabilities of 5G, this remote operation is made possible. And because of 5G, it leads to the next biggest key theme, and what we call is AV and EV. AV, autonomous vehicle, EV, electric vehicle. And what is AV? What is EV? EV, of course, is the new renewable energies that replace the traditional oil and gas or the internal combustion engine. And AV is autonomous. And when we look into autonomous, yes, when we look into all the big brands of vehicle and even including our local brands, Proton, have introduced level 2 of autonomous driving. But after all, what is autonomous driving? So when we look into right now, the autonomous driving in current market segment is definitely there are 5 level of categories autonomous. So level 0 is the traditional vehicle where there's zero assistant at all. It all is using human. Level 1 means feet off, and in layman term we have the auto cruise system is considered as level 1 autonomous. Level 2 hands off, which what we have right now is automated. The car can park the car itself, partially automated. Level 3 eyes off, which means highly automated, where you can close your eye and the vehicle can still drive itself, but of course to a certain extent it requires some interference from human. Level 4 mind off means fully automated, and it require a very minimal interruption from human. And lastly is full autonomous. Full autonomous is that we don't even have a driver in the car, only passenger. So it's basically the machine is driving the car itself. And how does that make possible? As mentioned earlier, we have 5G, we have V2V communication. So moving next, when we talk about car, at this juncture, when we look into those expensive car or high-tech car, at this point of time, yes, we are seeing a lot of RF-related component built into this vehicle. For example, we have the adaptive cruise control, automated braking, remote keyless entry, we have blind spot detection, line departure warning, and all these are RF related equipment, related component. And moving forward, when we look into autonomous vehicle, definitely we are expecting more. Especially we are looking into autonomous vehicle. We are looking at the ADAS system. We are looking at what things beyond the current technologies, things that move vehicles from level 2 to level 3 and eventually to level 5 autonomous driving. And based on a research report shows, 10 years from now, we are expecting 50% of the cost of a vehicle is in semiconductor, and that's further drive the development of technologies. So, with all whatever that I shared earlier, how does that relate to UWC? In a short, simple term, we operate in the semiconductor equipment supply chain, and in this semiconductor equipment supply chain, it includes IDM, foundries, ATE, OSAT, fabless, electronic design automation, and what UWC involve are IDM, foundries, and ATE. And when we look into the top 10 semiconductor chips buyer in the world, they are either direct or indirect customer of UWC. So may I introduce you for our first product that we built, we call it test handler. Of course, due to NDA sign, we are not allowed to showcase the product of our customers. This test handler is to handle the test it at the wafer level. And what is wafer? Wafer is primarily a raw material for chips, which used in smartphones, smart car, navigation, telecommunications, server. And at this juncture, due to the global shortage of chips, we ship a lot of these test handler to Taiwan and Korea, and they are probably the largest foundries in the world. Secondly, we produce chip functional tester. So for this chip functional tester, we test on its performance and reliability. So particularly, we have few testers that test on performance test and reliabilities. And these chip functional testers is used to test the chips that we install in our smart devices, including tablets and our mobile devices, mobile phone, desktop, laptops, server, and moving forward, we are expecting autonomous chips. Of course, why we are not able to move from level 2 to level 3 or to achieve a level 5 autonomous driving is because simply the car is not smart enough. Therefore, by associating chips, smarter chips into a vehicle, it enables autonomous driving because we are making the car smarter. However, the reliable test is very important for autonomous chip is because, as we know, if let's say your computer hang, you won't harm anything. However, for autonomous vehicle, if your car hang or things go wrong with the chip, it might kill someone. And therefore, it is very crucial when we look into the chips for autonomous car. Another team that UWC involved is 5G testers. We were engaged by our key customers to develop probably the world fastest 5G millimeter wave test equipment. And these testers is to test on the 5G millimeter wave. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, this shows what is the millimeter wave. And we are expecting these devices can test more than 100 gigahertz of band in terms of testing this what they call millimeter wave. And this is very crucial, of course, when we look into the smartphone and we look into all the smart devices that claim they are the fastest 5G device. They have to be tested with the fastest testers. Of course, UWC, we don't own the proprietary, it's owned by customers. However, we are the contract manufacturers for this equipment, and therefore we are very proud to be part of the supply chain, especially at the forefront of the technologies. And these 5G testers is not just test on smart devices, it also tests on the enabler for autonomous driving. Right now, at this juncture, when we look into 5G, how the car can be autonomous, of course, we have to ensure that the car can talk to each other. So we call it V2V communication, so that the car can talk to each other and avoid collision and things like that. So yeah, this is something that we involve in 5G. And of course, the other segment that UWC involved is the life science industries. And what we can see last year is the coronavirus epidemic, and we are very glad that we're involved in the supply chain of one of the test equipment that used to test for vaccine and also virus. 60% of the equipment is built in UWC, and the final assembly will be done in our customer place. So when we look into life science equipment, we are building on medical testing, diagnostic testing, drug dissolution, and I'm very proud to share with you that on a photo presented by the former president of the United States have showcased American products, and these products are being built here in Penang. So what is the game plan for UWC for the next 3 years, and what is the catalyst of our growth in the next 3 years? First of all, will be semiconductor. We will be focusing on front-end semiconductor. What is front-end semiconductor? Is the equipment that directly involve in turning sand or silicon into wafer. Second is going to be the autonomous or automotive chip testers. As we know, we are talking about autonomous, and right now we are at the very beginning of the autonomous driving era. And from now, we are looking at what $900 million kind of market size. And fast forward 10 years later, we are expecting about 230 billions of market size. Next, of course, is 5G. Professional researchers have expecting a CAGR growth of 5G's of market by 43.9% for the next few years. And you could be achieving a $6 trillion by year 2027. And lastly, we are looking at life science industries. Of course, life science is very stable industries. We are expecting slower CAGR rate of 5%, but still, most important is a growing industries. Next, some of our production. We built from scratch to fully functioning equipment. Therefore, all the component, all the enclosure structures is being built in-house. So we have the metal fabrication bay where we have all the CNC machine integrated with Industry 4.0, connected to the cloud. With a click from my smart devices, my tablets or my smartphone, I can keep track of the production activities. We have precision machining. We have like CNC turning, and all this is being connected to the cloud as well. We have all the LCD attached across all the factories to monitors the OEE, the productivities of our manufacturing. Moving forward, what we do is we are installing more robots in our factories. As you know, due to the pandemic, robotics also being shortage globally, and of course the shipment have been delayed. But yet, I'm very glad to share with you, many of the robots start to dock into our factories. We have more robots being installed in our factories. Next is, of course, big data. One of the key pillars of Industry 4.0 is big data. We install all the sensors attached with a pin line and integrate to our software. This is how what they call the mapping of how it connected to our equipment. We have our own research lab, and therefore we've got a lot of a skillful and knowledgeable workforce, pin lab, and lastly, we would like to achieve an end-to-end digital transformation, including the digital supply chain analytics, remote monitoring, cybersecurity, digital reporting, digital warehousing management, digital project management, data analytics, of course, artificial intelligence. Looking at financial, as mentioned, we got ourselves listed in 2019, but since over the past 5 years, we are growing at an uptrend from a profit after tax of about 15 million since 5 years ago, and today we are standing at around 91 million profit after tax. In terms of industry breakdowns, we focus majority in semiconductor, 66% in semiconductor, 26% in life science, 4% heavy duty, 4% others. Others means 5G. And as mentioned earlier, we also involved in this life science that we produce equipment related to the COVID. And we are very proud that we are we are working as one of the frontliner in producing all this healthcare equipment, and especially when we believe in service to the humanity is the best work of life. And of course, lastly, based on moving forward, what are we expecting in terms of UWC trend? We are expecting more semiconductors orders. Of course, we still retain a lot of orders in our life science industries. We're eventually going to phase out our heavy duty industries and put more focus in 5G. Before I end my presentation, I always like to share this thing with everyone. UWC is a very strong promoter of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, which agreed by the United Nations, country in the United Nations, to achieve these 17 goals by year 2030. So a few of the goals that we promote, for example, goal number 4, quality education, as mentioned by Richard. We set up a UWC Education Center at Seberang Pride Polytechnic in order to close the gap between the institute and also the industries. More activities happening. We have Kaizen activities, we have blood donation, we have UWC scholarship. Of course, this is some of the what they call some UNSDG goal activities that we promote and what we do in our factories. And of course, we have this scholarship again. This scholarship still remain. UWC, we have this scholarship to offer to all engineering students, and this is our first batch of students graduated from our scholarship. And this is also in line with the UNSDG goal number 4, quality education, which everyone deserves a quality education, no poverty, and of course, decent economic. And of course, before I end my presentation, I wish to share this to everyone. UWC is a very young company where 67% of our workforce is below 30 years old, and 34% of the leadership role held in UWC is by female leaders. This is not purposely on purpose, however, it's just by chance. And these are some of the photos in UWC, and that's all for my presentation. If you guys have any requirement or any queries on the scholarship or vacancy, please do feel free to drop an email to this hr@uwcberhad.com.my, and this is the contact number. With that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you.
Truly inspiring what UWC has achieved over the last 3 decades, and the amount of diversification that you have gone through. Okay, we are running slightly behind time, so I will bring in the next speaker, Mr. Lau Kian Cheong. He is he is actually well known in the industry as Mr. KC Lau. He's the group CEO, cum executive director of Inari Emertron. First appointed CEO on July 15, 2011. That's about 10 years ago. And then took on the dual role of ED, executive director and CEO in October 2012. He holds a diploma in electronics engineering from Dar College and a Master of Science, MSc, in information technology for manufacturing from the University of Warwick, UK. All right. Mr. Lau has more than 28 years of experience in the OSAT industry. In particular, he has been assisting in many also CSR type of roles, including vice chairman of PSDC from 2017 to 2021. He is still the regional advisory board member for SEA, and then he's a strategy leader for the E&E Productivity Nexus from 2018. So a very impressive background too of Mr. Lau. I will now bring him in to share his corporate presentation as well as insights into the world of engineering with his engineering background. Mr. Lau, over to you. Thank you.
Hi, very good afternoon. I think I'm so sorry about the video play. I believe that's the platform got some issue. Okay, let me have a chance to share what is the Inari and also some of the background here. Um, okay, can you see my full screen? Can someone just acknowledge? Can you hear me? Okay, good. So first of all, I would like to welcome you to Inari Matrons for the introduction and also some of the product and services what we are doing. More importantly, I think we would like to look at the financial for the future, not only talking about ourselves, we are also talking about semiconductors markets outlook and also some of the discussion. Today, I thought that it's very good for us to align the parents, what's supposed to be the future for your kids. So that's why I put a little bit of thoughts here so that everyone can get yourself more towards why we keep on talking about semiconductors or E&E. E&E stand for the electronics and electricals segment. Okay, so just to ensure that this just now the video play I think got some interruption. So let me just walk you through. We formed the company in year 2006. This typically focus on the OSAT, the outsourced semiconductor assembly and test, for one of the very crucial product. Today, you talk about smartphone, and definitely our chips is in there, play the function of the wireless connectivity. Okay, so 2008, the big phones come in to drive the 3G into the 4G, and alongside we actually growing together with our customer. And in year 2011, we managed to list the company in the stock exchange, and this is a very good platform for us to venture into the bigger play in the E&E. Definitely, we are looking and also working with the inorganic growth during that time. We actually have a chance to take a look many of the potential. So one of the potential actually we acquired Amatron and expand our platform to certain extent. The platform allow us to play into a bigger international E&E game. The reason because Amatron equipped with many other components, which is not just only RF. Okay, so from there, we actually get into a much easier offer to our multinational customer. Okay, and through the years up to now, we have about 10 subsidiaries, 5 in the operation. So you can see the chart here. We have 10 factories, 7 in Malaysia, 2 in Philippines, and 1 in China. Total manufacturing floor space 1.8 million square feet, and more than 5,005 employee, as mentioned by Richard just now. So just give you some understanding about what is, we keep on talking about semiconductors. What is that about? Okay, so I would like to put the pictorial here from the wafer. Wafer, that means the chip, which you can use, pick every one of the chips into the substrate or the PCB. Okay, so you just mount it into the PCB, and from there you continue mount more into the complete system in package. That means you need to make it as a functional module. Okay, so you can see the size of the chip is 0.5 times 0.5. Okay, very small. Okay, I believe that if you talk about the in between the solder point, that means the connectivity in between, you are talking about 1 hair or 1.5 hair size across. So this is the kind of technology. And if imagine that your machine, if let's say doing something wrong, you short each other across the 1 hair size, then I think your phone need to send for repair. I think this is the one of the job created very smartly in Penang, and we feel proud everything's here done by Penang people, and or some to certain extent the equipment guy also from Penang. Yeah. So we actually complete the whole things with the molding, and then we pass over to the EMS, okay, to do the box build. So as a summary, this orange box is our OSAT's work. Okay, then this green one is the EMS. So we pass over to the downstream. So you can remember that in the OSAT is from the wafer go to the testing. Yeah. So some of the products portfolio you can see here. In Penang side, we do a lot of smartphone related. Typically, the biggest one is the RF. And Amatron, Kunsan, China side, a lot of the components actually doing the sensing, okay, in the old conventional car or the new car. Yeah. Then in terms of the Amatron Philippines, we have this is one of the very important one is the fiber optics transceiver. Okay, like right now we need to have the meeting virtually. So this is one of the connector, layman term called connector, but in technical term called transceiver to allow the signal pass through. Okay, then Hermetics IC for the automotive and also the military. Optoelectronics very widely used for the car right now, and also generic packages for their robots or industrial. Yeah. So just to ensure, once you go into science stream, all this one is the standard process block. Okay, don't worry too much because it's very high end in terms of terms. You just get along after you enter into science stream, then you just pace yourself, and you should understand all this. Nothing so special. It's just a process. It's just a term. Okay, so for us to do all these wafer assembly tests and back end, after that you ship to the back the so-called application for the RF for smartphone and the sensors, like just now I said, into the car. Either you call it the conventional car or the smart car. Okay, later on you also can see that a lot of fiber connectivity. I believe that's every one of you using the fiber network. Okay, to get into your day-to-day work. Okay, work from home or study from home. So this is the capacity. Why I want to put this page here, because we build a lot of products yearly, and you can see the equipment. So this is the engineering skill set which we need. So that means a lot of technical stuff we need year by year. So don't worry that after your study, you feel that you have a problem to look for a job. This is all the opportunity here. Yeah. So just a quick glance in the financial. Since 2011, we get ourselves listed. We are just very small, okay, during that time. And we took over the leadership in year FY14, and then we take all the way till now, especially in the market capitalization, and also the expansion of the business, in particularly in Penang, due to the so-called the pandemic. If not, we should actually even getting a higher records for this FY21. We just closed it last June. So you can see that we have the very good ramping all the way up to today. And we are actually getting all the positive result, the profit after tax since day one of the listing till now. Yeah. One point to note that if you are investing in our stock, every quarter we pay quite a good return back to the shareholders. Yeah. So last year, in fact, we paid 376 million on top of what we made, 331 million. So we pay more than we made. Yeah. So okay, before I end, I think this is the few question, a big question mark, particularly for the parents and also for the students. So these three I can think of. Is it hard to get a job after graduation? What is my career and how much I can earn? Which company should I join? Okay, so this is all the big question mark in your selection. So of course that the end in mind now is what to do. Okay, so should I send my kids to science stream or art stream? Okay, that is one of the consideration. Okay, I put my kid need to study or I need to study. Sometimes parents study for your kids. Okay, so the second one is, can I get a balance of my work life and also my daily. Probably, I think every one of you want to see a lucrative future if you have a better job. So this is the question I just want you to relate into the market driver. And more importantly, you need to know how is the trend, like just now Martin shared, what is the future trend. Let me take you into next 5 to 10 years. Okay, so the current market trend, nothing else except you talk about 5G, you talk about data centers, you talk about high performance computer, you talk about automotive and IoT. This is why very standard business segment already. So more importantly, who actually can create the hard work? Okay, that means make the things work. How to actualize it. So this is the point I want to share here. Inari actually work very closely with the US customer and the big phone maker. You can actually anticipate that talking about the 5G smartphone shipment, we are just here, very small fraction, okay, about the total. Because why? You don't just look at the number increase. You need to look at the complexity. That means how complex about the phone will be become more and more chips or more and more component need to use into a phone. So you can anticipate not only a phone, a single phone, is more component in there, more powerful processor in there. So that's why you can see that this you expect to grow 3.5x, okay, to about 350 billion. All this big number, I think for you all to understand, you just trust us. The market is very big, okay. And to further strengthen our statement, you can see that the future 10 years you can reach 1 trillion US dollar, okay? But you see that the past 50 years, we just hardly, okay, across the 500 billion. And this year only touching 500 billion. So you see the semiconductors world, since start, I just backtrack about 50 years. Now you can see that the forward 10 years, you already across the 1 trillion. Okay, that means 1 trillion is quite a lot of digit, zero digit at the back. So why all these happen and what you need to do in the factory and also some of the service provider. So all in all, is more talking about connectivity, like just now Martin mentioned. You are not only talking about connectivity, you are also talking about the speed, the efficiency. Like just now the video play, I think I put a blame on the telco because something wrong about the bandwidth. Secondly, probably is the platform guy. Probably we need to see how to get to the maximum booster. So this is the connectivity problem. And in fact, once you go into 5G, you should not see this type of lagging, this type of discontinue issue. Yeah. So more or less, I just want to bring you back to the decision. Okay, very important. You need to make sure you study the right things, you contribute to the right work. Okay, meanings what in here, the enable, you can see that a lot of the green circle, the green circle is what we are now doing. Inari is producing all the chips into this green circle. Okay, so still relevant. Then after you hear so much, I think the big question mark should be erased right now. Should be very clear. And the question should have the answer. Okay, is it hard to get a job? No. What is my career and how much I can earn? I can only tell you bright future. Okay, which company should I join? I think you please join us. Join us, you have two interpretation, join Inari or join the E&E. Okay, so this is very crucial. And then what you should select for your kids, I think science stream is I think it's very easy for you to select. Okay, just put a tick on the science stream. Okay, can have a good living. I think this is the question back to us. You need to work with passion. Okay, very important that you cannot be looking for easy way. Don't give excuse. Okay, always stay positive. I think you work with passion, heart and soul put into the work. You should get a very good living. And a lot of multi-millionaires actually you can see from the local ecosystem created because they have hard work. They started as an engineer, but now they become either the department manager or some to a certain extent they set up their own company. So I think this is one of the good step for you to join us. Okay, so with that, I would like to thank the audience, and also back to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lau. I think we maybe have enough time to have one or two questions to be answered. Would that be all right?
Okay, sure.
Okay, I think these are some questions that have occasionally come up from parents. The ones that we interacted with, I think they are mostly concerned about the future for their children. I think Mr. Lau, you have actually answered quite extensively in all these questions. One of
Yeah,
the
parents, we
key,
always have same thinking. Yeah, what should
yeah.
our kids doing? Yeah.
Okay, I think from the presentation by the both of you, I think the parents here, I don't know how many of them are not from industry, but those from industry will be well aware. Those who are not from industry, they probably would know by now that we are now in the world, in the industrial revolution 4.0 and the
Yep.
digital transformation. So meaning that our lives ahead of us is going to be transformed in one way or another, whether you like it or not. Like you have to embrace technology, you have to embrace engineering and the
Yep.
digital lifestyle, right? For example, our this My Sejahtera. I mean, last time I can see people who refuse to use a mobile phone. Today, no choice, you have to use it. Otherwise, you can't go and even do marketing, right? Okay, so one of the questions that often came up is the concern is mainly whether robots and AI or IoT is going to take over the place of human if their children go into this field. I'm sure you have your views. I'm sure parents will understand that robots can't just appear on their own. You can't give birth to a robot, right? So I don't know whether who would be in a better this one to take this question. Mr. Lau, you want to take this one since you're from engineering, or
Yeah.
Martin, maybe you
Okay.
can.
I believe that. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
Richard. I
yeah.
believe that now the robot is everywhere,
Mm,
including the restaurants. So for our industry, we definitely need to count on the precision assembly. Okay, we are talking about making a chip, and also a component or system in package. You can name it any platform. So the accuracy now we are talking about single hair size, and probably next in 1 or 2 years time, half hair size. Okay, because the the wafer foundry guy, they keep on putting a lot of investment to reduce the size of the wafer. Okay, that means the chip in the wafer. Then they can get more ICs out from the wafer. So all in all, we need to pair with them. If you don't stay relevant and continue to upkeep, either you call robots or industry 4 or automation or vision, all these actually to make a much more precision component. Okay, so
right.
you need you what actually the background what you need an engineer, a technical staff to create a robot or the vision. That's now what we say, the software and the hardware interface. So you have to bring your low value job go to the high value job. Okay, so actually in fact this now I think I also say this is a very lucrative type of things. If you can make, the margin is good. You look at our margin, we are quite reasonably good. And of course that this is not good because of just because of by default you should fetch for a very high margin. You need to put a lot of efforts. Okay, engineering efforts. So I believe that Martin, you have the same point. Okay, over to you, Martin.
I think what Casey mentioned is, of course, reflects what is actually happening. We know that many fears of artificial intelligence, but it's by hook or by crook. You have to take it, no matter
Yeah,
what, no matter what is the. We have to stay competitive. If let's say you're not adopting to the latest technologies, I don't think we can compete in the global arena. So when we look into Malaysian landscape, right, definitely like what Casey mentioned, we are moving towards higher value chain. And I always like to always say this: Industry 4.0 is no longer an option, but it's essential tools for you to compete in the global arena. So when we look
yeah,
into digitalization, we are looking at a paradigm shift in terms of workforce from a traditional, conventional, labor-intensive or low-skilled workforce to to a more talented, skill-based, and also knowledgeable workforce. And definitely, demand for engineers and technical person is definitely going to be very huge, because with all these technologies, who is going to run these things? Even you have the best technology on earth, but you need someone to run the technologies, and you need a smart person to run that technologies.
Yep.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Ng. I think those parents who are listening in today, you probably would gather from these two presentations that in industry today or in technology, I think it's now a question of jobs looking for people. I'm sure the two gentlemen here will agree, especially at the engineering and even at the technician level. So whatever that they do, I think as parents, we always feel that we should make sure that our children are on the right path, because that's our role as parents. It's very important. I think we may not have very much time for any more questions. Any parting words from you, Mr. Lau, before we go on to
Yeah.
Martin for any
I
parting
think,
words?
Richard, I think very simple. We need more engineers. We need the good discipline. We no need to be very smart, but very important is your integrity and the passion. Okay,
Right.
towards your work. You need to love your work and you learn and contribute to the company. I think this is very important. Of course, that's in this context we do expect some good return after you attend the STEM or this engineering science this webinar. So you expect that you have a good linkage with the E&E. By all means, you can connect to Inari through our website, and if you have someone have the engineering discipline, you want to join the company. If you think that you don't have a job, probably can look for us. I believe that we can find a suitable a position for you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lau. Martin,
Thank you.
so the last question is, of course, from Gen. You are from Gen Y, right? So maybe you
Yeah.
could direct your parting words to the young children who are with us here today, or even to their parents. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, sure. When you look into valuation of companies or the top 10 most valuable companies compared to 50 years ago, right now 80% of these companies are tech companies. We are looking at what the big names like Google, Amazon, Facebooks. And when we look into 50 years ago, we are looking at probably those traditional, conventional commodities, real estates business. And when you look into technology world, who is the tech enablers? Engineers. And definitely we need more than enough more engineers here in Malaysia, in Penang, or probably in UWC. If let's say you're seeking for engineering vacancy, please do contact us. Looking for engineering scholarship, you also can contact us with that. And of course, to give you guys an assurance that whether AI is going to replace human being, very simple. Today, UWC or even like Inari, we are growing. We are adopting to the latest technologies. To a certain extent, we have certain level of digitalization. Do we need more engineers? The answer is yes. So go for STEM education.
Yes.
Thank you, Martin. All right, I think to all parents, I think you can be assured that if you guide your children along the STEM pathway and into the STEM careers, you cannot be wrong or too far wrong. All right, I think the main thing is they need to understand that the demand for people in the technical field is very wide. And by the way, I think Casey and Martin actually mentioned about the industry. I think. I mean, if some of you do not know it, I think we currently have three billionaires from industry who have made it to the Forbes billionaires club. I don't know whether these two will be on the way or already there. But I mean, you need not be an engineer for life. I think many of those who made it that way and set up their own plants, and also many of them actually came up through engineering or through the technical path. All right. So I would like to end this session again by thanking Martin for your very insightful presentation, and I think did a tremendous job. I'm sure the young generation would be more than pleased to hear more from you. I'm sure you will allow them to communicate with your company if they need to find out more, right? Or they can go to your website. Casey, always inspiring your talks. I think you're always on the path to look for new people. I hope your plans to set up your own educational institution to train up talents of the future will materialize in the not too distant future. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Before
Right.
we end, I think the internship program we have
Mm-hmm.
embarked for the past 5 years, we have
All right.
about 2008 these
Wow.
interns gone through. Okay, so we
Wow.
have quite a good pool of interns has been trained by
All
us,
right.
and hopefully
All
that
right.
we can continue to make it big and bigger. Yeah.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you. So, to all parents again, thank you for joining us for this interesting session. To all the students who are still with us here now, please do consider a career in industry if you, I mean, just include that as one of your options if you have not ever considered a career in industry. All right. So, I'd like to end this session by thanking our host, Tech Dome Penang, for hosting this session, and I'll pass you back to Tim, our MC for today. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you,
Right.
Richard, and our two guest speakers. So, viewers, you heard it from the bosses themselves. The STEM industry is doing well economic-wise, and there is no shortage of jobs for STEM practitioners. In fact, engineers are high in demand. And because technology is growing each year, the future is also bright. We have come to the end of our talk for today. I'd like to once again thank both our moderators for both sessions as well as all the guest speakers. Truly, we can really learn a lot from them. And we hope all our viewers today can take back something from the talks that you have heard this morning. And if you want to rewatch this stream, you can always check out our Facebook page at Tekdong Penang as well as our YouTube channel. Once again, thank you for watching and see you guys next time.